Shemai everyone, it's JonnyVR here with another Time Lord Victorious review, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Knight, the Fool and the Dead, which is the first contribution of BBC Books. Before I start my review, just an update on the next piece of free Time Lord Victorious content. The free short story will be called Canaries and will be released on the Doctor Who website this month. It's worth saying that the author of the free short story, Dave Rudden, is also releasing a Doctor Who book in October called The Wintertime Paradox, but this is not a contribution to Time Lord Victorious. So if you want to join in with Time Lord Victorious at no cost, make sure you keep an eye on the Doctor Who website for the free short story. And for those of you who want to give Time Lord Victorious a go, check out my Time Lord Victorious playlist where I go through each product and the cheapest way to experience the story. The first part of this review will be spoiler free, then I'll give you notice when I'm going to go into spoiler territory, because if you've read this book and you want to talk about it, let's have a discussion in the comments section. Just beware of potential spoilers when making a comment, so maybe put a spoiler alert on your comment to let others know. So onto the spoiler free part of the review. The book comes in at 192 pages long, but the actual story is around 179 pages long, which at first I thought was a little short for a book that has a retail price of £9.99 for the physical copy. That's why I bought the book digitally for £4.99. But I have to say that I am very impressed with this book, and it is surely worth a price that is more than £4.99. This is the first release that is considerably more substantial than a comic book or a guide to the dark times, and it doesn't disappoint. It features a brilliantly written story that manages to pack so much into its pages, including a few surprises. It's also a great starting point into Time Lord Victorious, so if you've decided that this book was your first read, you don't need to worry about missing anything. The themes, concepts and implications explored throughout the story highlights the strength of the idea James Goss came up with for the overall narrative of Time Lord Victorious. And the way that Steve Cole has incorporated these ideas into his book shows just how good a writer he is. The book features characters that we get to meet for the first time. Whether you were expecting certain characters to show up or not, they are not only fleshed out with their own mannerisms and background, they are also incredibly memorable, and I can't wait to see more of them in other media. The villains are equally as vital to this story, and they are so well written. We had a glimpse of what they were capable of in September's free short story, but here they're in full swing. And likewise, I can't wait to see them in other Time Lord Victorious releases. But it is incredible how in the space of this book and the short story, they have become a clear, formidable force. The book also features a huge number of references to both the wider Doctor Who universe and other Time Lord Victorious media. It's quite easy to spot where this fits in with the other releases, but again, it's not necessary to have read anything or listened to anything else. However, as far as accessibility goes, it is very nearly a complete standalone story, but it certainly requires you to get the next book for a more complete picture. It even says at the end, "Find out what happens next in Doctor Who Time Lord Victorious, All Flesh is Grass," pointing you to the next book. The only thing that I would say is a slight negative for this book is that release order is not the same as the chronological order. For example, if you have read the already released comic featuring the 10th Doctor, it's like we've got two separate introductions at the same time. The comic story is unresolved, while we are reintroduced to the 10th Doctor again in this book. The chronology will become clear once everything is released, but this book does put a spanner in the chronology if you've been following the story as it's been released. It's also clear to see the influence of other unreleased items on parts of this book that may act as potential spoilers for those. Other than that, this was a fantastic contribution to Time Lord Victorious and an all-round great Doctor Who book. But I'm going to go into spoiler territory now, so here is your spoiler warning. I love how early on in this book it connects directly to the Waters of Mars, in which the Doctor first declares himself as the Time Lord Victorious. Not only that, but the 10th Doctor is so conflicted throughout the book that it adds a whole new level to the 10th Doctor in this phase of his life. For example, when Brian the Ood shows up, the Doctor freezes, having just seen Ood Sigma in the snow during the Waters of Mars. Speaking of Brian the Ood, I love it. He is both sophisticated and a psychopath. At multiple times during the book, just opens fire on different characters. It's acknowledged that Brian has met the Doctor in his 8th incarnation, but the 10th Doctor doesn't remember him, so it'll be interesting to see if they tell us why the 10th Doctor can't remember Brian. The time fracture was also mentioned, with the 10th Doctor calling it his route to the dark times. and we know this will be a key feature in other Time Lord Victorious media. Various surprises are found in the interludes, featuring the return of the first Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Susan, during the Cave of Skulls, a location that they found themselves in during the first aired story, An Unearthly Child. Other interludes feature the 9th Doctor and Rose, as well as the 8th Doctor with Brian. I thought the ending, although it was a great cliffhanger, does have some spoilers, as it seems to be towards the end of the Time Lord Victorious story. It just lets us know where the 8th Doctor and 9th Doctor ultimately end up at the end of their Big Finish trilogy and comic strip respectively. Which is a shame, but that's a release schedule issue. So there we are, that's my review of The Knight, the Fool and the Dead. Let me know what you thought of this installment of Time Lord Victorious. Feel free to post comments about the book, but beware there may be spoilers there, so perhaps put a spoiler warning on your comment if you're going to talk about the actual story. Stay tuned for more Time Lord Victorious reviews, and if you haven't already, check out my Time Lord Victorious playlist, where I go through each of the products and the cheapest way to experience the story. If you want to support our channel, you can do so by going to ko-fi.com/skybotfilm, where you can tip us the price of a coffee, and we'll use this to get better equipment and make better videos for the channel. So with all that said and done, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!